What difficult truths, the sooner you accept them, the better your life will be. Story 1. There will always be someone better looking, better educated, younger, more experienced, more intelligent, or wealthier than you. Do your best, live without regret, have empathy and kindness, give when you can, expecting nothing in return. Focus on your heart value more than what others have. Story 2. Just because you're right doesn't mean people will agree with you and might work against you either way. My wife struggles with this. She has an idea that works and gets the company more money, but the owner and other workers are against it because they disagree with it, even with the evidence that it works better for them financially. All the data in the world won't change the mind of a person who won't listen. Story 3. Life is unfair. Once you accept this, you will feel better. Good deeds usually go unrewarded. If you are doing a good deed for a reward, you are doing it for the wrong reason. You will never be able to explain anything to someone who is unwilling or unable to listen. If you try, you will at minimum be frustrated and waste your time. Story 4. Happiness and satisfaction are completely internal and based on what you have chosen to measure them by. No one and no thing can make you happy unless you have chosen to let it. This is why there are so many miserable rich people and people who have great lives that still unhappily yearn for more. Story 5. People who are good for you will make you feel happy, joyful, accepted, cared for, and filled with fun times despite of any differences. People who are not good for you will make you feel anxious, sad, down, slighted, judged, and never check in on you if you're not okay, and won't even bother noticing when you're not okay. Genuine people will never let you suffer in silence or watch you suffer. Stay away from those who make you feel negative emotions and thoughts. Story 6. You need to provide the world with something for people to value you. There are so many people out there who think that they just deserve a girlfriend or a boyfriend. But if you're not giving anything, if you don't offer anything, then you're not going to get the kind of person who offers you anything. The same thing with friendships. Friendships are about giving. It's not about what you want. It's about what you offer. And I'm not talking about financial stuff here. I'm talking about listening, being there when someone needs you, helping them. When you hit your 20s, all you can think about is what the world can give to you, not about what you can offer. You need to offer something to be valuable to society. Story 7. It is easy to believe that everything is hopeless and terrible because that means you don't have to do anything about it because apparently it wouldn't do anything anyway. There's no point. There is comfort in hopelessness. So you can sit there, do nothing, believe that the world is in the hands of some mysterious, insidious cabal, and coast believing the results would be the same, whether or not you did anything between nothing and everything. It's much harder to accept that you have power because that might entail some responsibility. The truth is, over your life, the lives of the people around you, and to some extent the world, what you do actually matters. And given the way the effects of our choices ripple beyond our ability to see them, probably in much larger ways than we realize. Story 8. Before I graduated high school, I thought, thank God I finally won't have to deal with annoying, obnoxious kids and I'll be treated like an adult. I come to find out 95% of adults are worse than the actual kids. Nobody knows what they're actually doing and life is actually a big joke. Story 9. You're a child, always was, always will be. You may get wiser, stronger, older, and smarter with age, but you're still a large child who is selfish, hungry, and desperate for attention and validation. You can either deny it and become depressed, embrace it and become entitled, or simply accept it as part of your life and realize you were born to be happy and work towards making your inner child happy as often and responsibly as you can. Story 10. All aspects of our modern society were either created to solve for a problem that no longer exists, or because of individuals with a cult of personality around them, or most commonly created by marketing companies/government agencies to make you act in their interest instead of acting in self-interest. Our norms don't come from some divine source or even a well-educated source, not even a well-meaning source most of the time. If you don't fit into the mold very well, congrats. You were never intended to. The mold is there to shape you into a good little consumer/worker/soldier who won't ask questions and will sacrifice happiness in their current life for the promise of happiness in the afterlife. All you are doing by acting within the confines of social pressure is limiting your own happiness, distancing yourself from people who might actually like the real you, lying to the people around you and not giving them a chance to really know you, and inadvertently applying more societal pressure to those around you by keeping up the persona. I think most people start to understand this pretty early because all it takes is some surface questions like, why do I have to buy a diamond engagement ring? Or why can't boys wear nail polish? To really open up that Pandora's box, but are corrected pretty early and just told that's the way things are by people in power that they want love and approval from. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people have more trauma from this than they realize because they believe that the way they naturally want to act and live is wrong. And they live their whole lives since before knowing their ABCs, thinking everyone, including themselves, need to be as close to society's expectations of them to be worth love and respect. And when they see evidence of the contrary, they get angry, but don't know where to place it or how to deal with it because that knowledge became a central pillar of their understanding of the world. Edit. The short of it, don't worry so much about society's concepts. Live your life however you want, as long as it doesn't affect anyone else's ability to live their life how they want to. You get to be conscious for like 70 years, the first 20 of which you don't really get to be your own person. Then you get a good 30 years where you have the opportunity to live the life you want and be the person you are. Then most of us get another 10, 20 years to reminisce and relax, hopefully with loving friends and or family that you cultivated along the way. Then we all die, each and every one of us. And here's the kicker. If you waste that 30 years because you are scared what other people will think, that last 10, 20 years is just going to be filled with misery and regret. You will have no real friends or family, just people who expect you to play a part. Story 11. Regardless of how much you think you deserve, life does not work to grant you the things you think you are entitled to. No one is coming to save you but yourself. It is no one else's job to make you happy. Some people will receive more than others because of their family, governments, natural-born traits, or other reasons, and that is out of their luck and efforts, and nothing else. So the next time you feel angry at the world for not granting you the things you deserve, just know it is wasted time and energy. Feel your feelings of disappointment, work to make yourself feel better, and move on. Control what you can control to improve your life. Appreciate the gifts you are granted, accept the things you cannot control. Story 12. Work to live, don't live to work. Work sucks. If it didn't suck, they wouldn't be paying you to do it. Find something you're decently good at, and that has a level of upward trajectory. Remember, they don't care about you, so don't let them ruin the time you're not there. Set boundaries and do your best to become better at your craft. Go to work, save what you can, live your life. Don't define yourself by your job. Story 13, you control nothing. Life will kick you in the balls, drop a piano on your head, drown you in sewage, and you have to survive and go forward. The harder you try to control things, the less control you'll have. Being brave is about how many times you get back up, not how many times someone runs you over with their mama's Chevy. Story 14. That one group of very powerful people controls the world. Country leaders and lawmakers are simply puppets. And you as a person are not the important item to these people. They want power and money, and will do anything they can to keep the balance of power and the flow of money on their side. Call them what you want, the NWO, what have you, they are all the same. They are uber rich and very influential and don't give a damn about the common working class person. Story 15. As someone who lived my life until my late 20s with the worldview that nobody can tell me what to do. Yes, sometimes they can and sometimes things are out of your control. This may not apply to billionaires or children of political powerhouses, but I don't think many of them are browsing Reddit. I went to prison for 4 years and was on probation for 4 years after that, and it was a big eye-opener for me. You can control your actions, but at some point people with guns and tasers and prisons can and will control you for right or wrong. It makes life way easier to realize that because all those things suck to get hit with. Story 16. Limit your expectations, not your hopes and dreams, but what you expect others to do or things you expect to happen. This is especially important of other people's behavior. I've known people who ended up blowing up into a huge fight because one person didn't offer the other a drink at their house. Would it have been good hosting to do so? Of course, but expecting it to happen makes the guest entitled and feel like they were slighted when in reality it was probably an accident. Having expectations of other people's behavior other than basic respect and decency will get you into trouble every time and make you less thankful of that they are doing. I see it cause trouble in marriages, friendships, and everywhere. Story 17. Everyone is out there trying their best with what they have. You don't know everyone's full story. That decision they made that you didn't like probably had nothing to do with you. Most people are not out here trying to be malicious. They're just wrapped up in their own stuff. I had this realization when I moved to a new community and the first friends I made started heavily complaining about certain other people in our same line of work. I was terrified to meet these apparently horrible people. But when I met them, I found that they were actually wonderful people who had to make tough decisions based on outside pressures my first friends weren't thinking about or aware of. They were much kinder than my first friends too, and I'm much closer to the horrible people now. Story 18. No matter how much you hate someone, never set your success criteria as their downfall or misery. for your own good. You'll always have someone working against you, and feeding that side of you will eat you up. You can aim to oppose their project. You can even specifically decide to prevent them achieving something. This isn't advice to make you a nice person. This is advice to save your sanity. But as soon as it becomes specifically personal and without limit, it's going to get Shakespearean. Like the wise bloke said, if you seek revenge, first dig 2 graves. Story 19. Propaganda is a real thing. It's used because it works. Humanity as a whole has gotten much better at it over time, and you are not immune to it. If you're looking at information and end up feeling strongly about it, positively or negatively, it was likely just used on you. It doesn't mean that the information is wrong, but it may have made you feel much stronger than you should about your need for this product, your willingness to donate your time, money to this cause, your devotion to or hatred of this person, etc., etc. Realizing this can actually vastly reduce your stress over many things. Story 20. Most people don't have actual consistent morals and will bend them to meet their needs. If you are someone like me that has a very clear moral code you developed based on treating others like they wish to be treated, don't rely on others to do this. Most people are just out for themselves. The sooner the human race kills itself, the better for the universe. There are very few truly good people. Story 21. Stop making relationship decisions based on the way you think someone can be, but instead on who they actually are. Most times that mythical best version is never going to happen, and you certainly can't do anything to force it. No amount of empathy or understanding or patience on your part will make a lick of difference if that person doesn't want to be accountable or do the hard work to change. Don't be fooled if they say they want to do those things either. It's about what they actually do. Story 22. The most important thing I've ever learned was that the universe you experience is a reflection of your intentions and actions. The way you treat people and approach situations will be reflected back at you. If you treat people with love and respect and approach the world with optimism, the universe will reciprocate. Maybe not every single time, but on average, you will experience what you put out coming back to you. Story 23. Life is about the journey, not just the destination. Practice how to lean into your day, your year, your life. Plan your work and work your plan. The more you work, the more luck you will have. 99% of the satisfaction or misery you will experience in your life will result from who you spend it with. Choose wisely. Men should forget the distracting pretty girls until they finish their education and establish themselves in the world. Men don't mature emotionally, mentally, or physically until about 30 years of age. Then marry a woman who is about 22. Face everything in your life with open eyes. Hiding from circumstances or facts you find to be unpleasant or uncomfortable will blind you to options and solutions. Story 24. Most people don't give a shit about you. And I don't mean get over yourself, you suck. I mean most people, just like you, are wrapped up in their own self-obsessed, single-viewpoint little world. Many of them are so stuck obsessing about what others think of them that they don't think of you at all, which is a good thing. All those things you feel embarrassed about, most of them have already been forgotten if they were noticed. Here's a fun experiment. Take a moment in your life that you remember doing something embarrassing. The time in sophomore year where you were so intent on impressing your crush that you pretended to like the same slushy flavor as her and she called you out on it, for example. Now try to think of something embarrassing you remember someone else from that year doing. Hell, try to remember the name of 5 people you knew that year. Can't? Then no one else remembers Slushygate. Breathe. Story 25. It's not only good, but healthy to go through times in life where you don't have a romantic relationship and none on the horizon. It teaches you how to be a better person, about saying no to things that aren't right for you, and how not to be a desperate clown falling all over yourself for someone who doesn't give a damn about you. In other words, you develop the don't give a damn muscles of your own. Story 26. There are established decisions and paths for predictable financial success and rewarding career growth if you want to follow them. They don't fit everyone, but they are there and fit many, and the lifestyle you attain in your 30s and 40s if you make good decisions can be incredible. Alternatively, believing that you are entitled or can do whatever you want, chase your dreams no matter how fanciful, and that somehow society owes you an equivalent financial posture is not backed by data. Story 27. One thing that helped me is understanding that I am an absolute nobody in the grand scheme of the universe. I'm insignificant and have no influence over the world. I won't be remembered, so what the fuck does it all matter? This seems counterintuitive, but it helped me not worry so much about legacy and being impactful and all this grandiose stuff. Just do what I want to do, for me, here and now. I feel so much more connected with myself and what I feel is important. And sure, I still can have an influence on people nearby, and that's great. But by keeping it local, I feel a lot less anxiety about it all. I hope this makes sense. Story 28. Never be bitter about what someone did to you. as it just eats away at your soul. Except for that time, Sally told me she wanted Alice as her maid of honor instead of me. And I've been her best friend forever since we were little and always looked out for her. And even when that jerk Freddie wanted to date me behind her back when he was going steady with her, and I said no, that wouldn't be right. And now I'm crying because I always wanted to be a MOH in a big wedding and I won't. So I hope it rains and there's giant bees and the food is bad and makes everybody sick and Alice throws up. Story 29. Partly we are all bad people. Using cell phones made in sweatshops, the cruelty of factory farming, homelessness, etc. We are all complicit to some degree and should feel bad for the bad things. When this difficult truth isn't realized early enough, you get people who yell at vegans, blame refugees for fleeing, and abuse the homeless for being homeless. Basically, a lot mental gymnastics to avoid a difficult truth that might make them feel a little bad. Story 30. Focus on yourself, not trying to be cool. I was like this for so long, nerdy but happy. Then in college, since I wanted to be more popular, especially with women, I made an effort to really learn from and copy people I thought were cool. Great time, but I also feel like I lost myself a tiny bit with little mini vices here, little breaches of personal ethics there. It also really made me addicted to dating apps and hooking up. In a way, I gained a lot from it, and in other ways, I lost so much time away from personal interests and addicted to getting validation. Anyways, just focus on improving yourself. Don't be afraid of